and I always try to change it up and whatnot. It's all good, um, but it does take me longer to complete games when I can only do it 3 hours every week. It takes a lot longer to beat a game, but that's okay because it gives me something to look forward to, and it also gives you guys a variety of games that you get to see me do. Also, follow me on social media, where it's Facebook, Instagram, or X. That way, if my I have to delay or there's a change in the schedule, you know what's going on. But also, sometimes I do Overwatch streams that are unscheduled, and eventually, I'm gonna get a Discord together for people who subscribe to me um, monetarily. That I'm gonna do like a once a month thing where my paid Patreons will could play Overwatch with me on that because I've been doing that for about 2 3 years. Oh, trust me, life happens. Um, Yes. But I try to be consistent. I try not to delay it too much. Never got into Overwatch. Overwatch, have you ever played it? A little bit of a delay. I play Smite. Okay. Um, the cool thing about Overwatch, unlike other shooter games, if you don't know, is one, they have various styles of players. It's not all just pew 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 shooter guys. Like there's different play styles of characters, um, which is nice. So they're not all shooty gun guys. There's some guys that have hammers, some that actually do um, spray attacks, things like that. Some you can actually the new water healer. He actually does water ball, and once you shoot it, you can actually aim it around a corner, which is kind of cool. Um, Also, with their newer recent, if you haven't played in a long time, they've made it a little bit more forgiving on being able to hit people, which is good. On top of the fact, with 5 people in it right now versus 6, you tend to do a little bit more than you were with a 6v6. Though they may go back to that because of tank balance. But also, the cool thing about it is, um, if you do get taken out, unlike games like Fortnite and things like that, you're not just sitting there for 45 minutes waiting for the game to finish if you get taken out right away. You come back after a period of time and then you can go again, which is really cool. And if your team moves you forward, you move forward with them, which is nice. They have different game modes now. Since if you haven't played Overwatch 2, um, they have a new escort map where you escort a robot. They now have the stadium mode, which is cool. If you do stadium mode, which I have some gameplays if you want to look up on my YouTube and Rumble. Um, you play around in a tight confined area and you try to win and do an objective. Then whoever wins, hold an objective or whatever, they get so many points, and you can do upgrades like abilities or more healing or better attack or various things like that, which is cool. And you go through a couple of rounds and you get extra abilities as you go along, which is pretty cool. Also, there's like a voice commentator when you do the stadium thing as well, and it also doesn't have the entire roster. There's like a only a handful of characters that are actually available in it, um, but also they have um, uh, what is it? They have a different type of gameplay mode where it's a back and forth. So if you take this point, then you try to move to the next point and take that one. Um, and so on and so forth. You have to go so many points along, but then again, they could gain momentum and then push you back, go the other direction like a tug of war, which is kind of cool. I forget what that mode's called off the top of my head, but it'll rotate on that, which is neat. Um, it's definitely something that um, it's easy to pick up, but there's a lot of depth to master. There's only certain characters that if you try to pick up, you might have problems with if you don't know what you're doing. Also, this game rewards you for not like running out into the open and just going and attacking people, because that's a good way to be taken out. You can't heal someone through just rushing through. That doesn't work. Um, you have to use cover a little bit, use various things, stick with your team, things like that. Um, so it's an interesting game that if you play it long enough, or you look at tips and tricks, um, you can get pretty good at it, which is kind of cool. Plus, there's health packs littered around the actual field. So if you're running low, you can pick one of those up. That can change things. Plus, there's an automatic low heal that happens if you just like hide and chill a little bit, which is also kind of good. Um, so it's something that's easy to get into. It's a pretty polished game when it comes to gameplay. That has never changed. About both sides can advance. True. There's actually also another mode in Stadium where they have now a dual escort, which is crazy. So at a certain point, you got to figure out: do you escort your thing, or you try to take out the other team so they can't actually push their actual cart forward or not, which is interesting. They have a lot going on. Obviously, don't go into competitive until you're fully ready for that. Quick play is a good way to um, learn because you can practice all you want with the character in the practice range, but without actually playing with the group, it's hard. It's also easier if you play with someone if you're actually talking to them because a lot of people don't talk in the game, so it can be hard if you don't know what's going on. You know, again, I don't know when I'm going to do my next Overwatch stream at the moment. But again, if you do watch out, I will put something out. But usually it's kind of like, hey, I got some time. Let me do this. Learn it out. Well, hey, again, if you want to, I have my Overwatch videos up on there. If you wanted to just watch them or watch other people and just see, um, I make mistakes. I'm not awesome, but the cool thing about it is there's things in Overwatch where if you don't want to communicate, you can ping people on things like, "Hey, there's an enemy over there," where you don't have to verbally communicate. But there's also voice wheels or emotes you can do. So there's different things where you can communicate, but in a non-verbal way, which is kind of cool in the game. And it's definitely helpful for people that maybe either they're not confident or realistically, um, you know, they aren't comfortable talking to people. Um, it it's not like getting on a Call of Duty or Battlefield and having a little 10-year-old yelling you out and cussing on Xbox. So, um, but yeah, yeah, it's all good. But definitely keep an eye out. Again, I'm gonna be back with this Damon Muckney game on Wednesday. It's a interesting type of game. I don't know about it just yet, but of course Donkey Kong's always a good fun. So, but thank you for coming. And again, if you like what you see, make sure to share, tell your friends and whatnot. I have a lot of games up on my YouTube and Rumble, whether it's Final Fantasy 16, Legends of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Cyberpunk 2077, Starfield, what is it? Super Mario RPG, Mario Luigi Brothership. I have what else I got going on? Final Fantasy Remake, Rebirth, and I have a couple other games. Can't remember them all off the top of my head, but I got a lot. I got a lot. And as you can see, I have a bunch of games too. I don't always have to play newer stuff. So if I have to, it's not a big deal. At a certain point, when they stop releasing a bunch of games and there's a slow time, I may start breaking out some of the classics. I have been debating on if I can get it working, whether I'm going to play Resident Evil on GameCube, Resident Evil 4, for Halloween. I'm not entirely sure just yet. Oh, yes, I've been collecting since the NES. I have all those. I haven't sold any of my systems. So I've kept everything because they never get old. And I'll be honest, one of the reasons why it was when, if you were an earlier gamer, there wouldn't always be a lot of great games like there is now. We're in the golden age. So what I would end up doing is I would pick up at GameStop, buy two get one free, and if they're like $20 in each, for like $40 I get three games. I mean, how are you doing that anywhere else, right? Also, Best Buy was doing Gamers Club, gave you 20% off, so I was doing a bunch of that. Um, you know, a whole bunch of stuff. Mega Man X was my favorite for NES. Yeah, Mega Man X was cool. I like the original. Uh, what is it? Mega Man's. They were really fun. Um, I liked Legends of Link to the Past. I was a big fan of Final Fantasy 3 or 6, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy 2, which was 4, um, Secret of Mana. Those are all amazing games. And then of course, was it Super Metroid? You know, Super Mario World. All those games. I also played Star Fox, which was great, um, which was a good time. Love that game. And Just a lot of good games on Super Nintendo. Super Castlevania, you know, all of them. Super Mario. Hey, I have it on record. The Super Mario RPG for the Switch, they took what the original game was and polished it up to what Square envisioned originally, and it looks clean. And it's exactly like the game. They didn't like change it or modify or whatever. It's the best version of the game, and I play that and beat that, and so that playthrough is on my channel if you want to see it. Um, that was a lot of fun. Like that a lot. Um, and of course, with PlayStation, I picked up Final Fantasy VII, the original game. I played Final Fantasy Tactics, which was lots of fun. Gran Turismo, things like that. Um, haven't actually played Grand Theft Auto 5 yet, but I did just buy it for cheap for $17. Let's go. So I have yet to experience and do that. That'll be interesting. And of course, I have all kinds of other weird, obscure games. I mean, where's it at? We got Gravity Rush 2, which is a 3D, type of game where you're flying around and doing stuff. And this was on originally on the PlayStation. I think the first one I think was on PlayStation 3, but I'm not entirely sure. It might have been PlayStation 4. Final Fantasy 7. Well, I have to say, I'll be honest with you. Final Fantasy 7, I was torn. I liked Final Fantasy VII because of the fact that it pushed the genre and got video games to be mainstay, and a lot of people got into Final Fantasy because of that game. I personally didn't like the fact that Square went with Sony and said, "Forget you, Nintendo." I understand why they did it, but also the third disc of Final Fantasy VII was slim to nothing. They spent way too much on their budgets on the full motion video, and so consequently, there was little of a game on the third disc. Um, but Final Fantasy, I think 6, if they remake that one, I think it has the potential, if they do it right, to probably surpass Final Fantasy 7, simply because the amount of characters that they had, the different modes that they had, what happened in the game, which I'm not going to spoil if you haven't played it, and of course, um, it was the first one where they introduced mechs and technology with the magic and things like that. I mean, it was just awesome all the way around. Plus, it introduced Kefka, which he was, I think, really the first kind of crazy nutso kind of a villain that I'm aware of. Yeah, exclusive games because it should be about gaming community, not the platform. Well, it wasn't that. What it was is a twofer. One, Nintendo was making a new system, a CD add-on with Sony. Sony made this sound chip for the Super Nintendo, but as it stands, they had a disagreement. Nintendo didn't want their games to be ripped off as easy, and they thought they could get by with cartridges and said, "Forget this CD thing. We don't see a value added in it." Sony got pissed off, saying, "We put all this money into it. We'll just make a system, right?" So that's what they did. Square then had to make a choice. They tried doing what their vision was going to be for Final Fantasy, where they wanted to have actual 3D battles, but being able to do what they wanted to do with the story, they didn't think they could tell a compelling enough story and have enough facial expressions that they wanted to do in 3D, because of the limitations of 3D at the time. And realistically, they could do full motion video, but the problem is it took a lot of space and there wasn't a lot of room on the cartridges, so the speed at which cartridges could read wasn't as important as compared to capacity, right? So they made a conscious decision to go CD and go with Sony because of that. And also there was a little bit of a falling out between the two, which kind of soured them for a long time, and that's why Square said, "Forget you, Nintendo," for the longest time. So I don't think it was until literally, shoot, I don't remember. I don't know if it was the Switch. I think it was the Switch. Was the I want to say no? They did Crystal Chronicles for GameCube. I think that was the first Square game that they made for the a Nintendo system. It wasn't really great. It really wasn't Final Fantasy. It was a four-player thing. You had to have Game Boy Link things going on, which is next to impossible. And it wasn't a traditional game. It was like I mean, it was an interesting game, but it wasn't what people wanted. And then they never really gave us stuff. They gave us Chocobo Racing and things like that, which we were like, what? Um, it wasn't until the Wii that we got some of the classic games, and we were able to do that with a virtual console. Beyond that, they didn't do much. They released compilations and things like that. Um, but it wasn't until the Switch that we really got a lot of re-release of the old games on cartridges. Some of them were kind of a knockoff and not really fully fleshed out. But the second game that would be interesting if they redo it, especially after the recent Dragon Quest VII redo that they're doing, or reimaged that they're doing, um, I would like to see them redo Chrono Trigger or do another Chrono Trigger. And realistically, that'd be great to see them do, though I'm curious as to how they would do it. There's been various fan projects to bring Chrono Trigger into the 3D realm, but they always got shut down by Square. Because how dare you do something with our IP that we just pretty much ignored and abandoned? so, um, but that's where the whole Magus thing is from Chrono Trigger. So, but we'll see where Square goes. They've had recently have had a really good relationship with Nintendo because stuff sells well on Nintendo. They have a large install base. They're getting Final Fantasy remake Integrate that was on the PlayStation 5 on the Switch 2, which is cool. I'm pretty sure they're going to get Rebirth on there because they're going to want to make money to recoup their cost. And then I'm sure they're going to have the third installment on there. And they've released Octopath. It's done really well. They got Octopath 2. And then, of course, all the 3D, 2D stuff they've been doing. Way more than they've done on the other systems are sold as well. So what's also funny is the fact is Square went with Sony because of capacity, not because of speed. Hilariously enough, now they might be coming back to Nintendo because of, well, the size of the platform, but also because you can stick more on a cartridge now than you can stick on a Blu-ray disc. So if Square wanted to have a bigger game, the cartridge might be the way to do it, unless you do it all digital, which is of interest and hilarious in its own right. So, and they're trying to get rid of Blu-ray discs, which I do not like. I do not like GameCube cards. I like you physically owning something, because the service will always get shut down, and digital games are great. But again, if the servers are shut down, your system croaks. You got nothing to show for it, right? And that's also why I kind of like the PlayStation 5, is because when you install the game, it installs it from the disc onto the system, so you still have record of it. So you get the best of both worlds for instant speed, but also you physically own the game, which is cool. But I don't know. The next PlayStation, my understanding is they're gonna do packages with the CD-ROM drive as an attachment. It's not going to be built in, but we'll see. Because I do not like the idea of being beholden to Sony to buy all my games, and that means you can't buy used games, you can't sell your games. I don't like that idea at all. Um, so there's that. Plus, what if they decide to change their system and, oh, so sorry, your games don't come over anymore. Sorry, you have to buy your games again. No. So, but so far I hear though, PlayStation 6 is going to be backwards compatible with PlayStation 4 and 5, which is good. So that's a good thing. Interesting. I don't either. Yeah, well, and I don't know what Xbox is doing. They're kind of crazy. Also, there's a discussion that Sony might come out with a PlayStation handheld again. Not like the one they currently have, like an actual like handheld system like the Switch. And what they'll do is they'll downclock the PlayStation 6 stuff to basically be on par with the PlayStation 5. So you're literally going to have head-to-head between Sony trying to say, hey, you can play PlayStation 5 games in the Go, but I don't know how that's going to work, because it's like, okay, let's say I don't own a PlayStation 5 and I don't own a PlayStation 6. How are you getting games onto it? Because you can't do a CD-ROM, right? Is it all going to be digital? I don't know. PS Vita? What was it? Well, they haven't announced anything, but they have a flag in the coding that I'm hearing that it literally halves the amount of cores. It like way cuts down the frequency, and for some reason cuts down to 3D auto processing by 75% to get the power levels like really low, like a low power mode. And Sony has flags for different type of things. I think this is supposed to be a completely separate box, not like right now where it's like an Nvidia Shield where you could uh, play on your PC, but you could cast the game onto your TV in another room. Like the actual processing's on the PC, but like it's displaying it up there. That's what that PlayStation portable thing is now. You can't make it work without the PlayStation, and without internet connectivity, you can't do anything. The PlayStation portable they're talking about is going to be like a PlayStation Vita. Like you can load games on it and go somewhere and play. You don't need to own the other type of stuff. I'm not sure. Well, I don't think it's going to be cheap, so I have a hard time believing that they're going to have you buy the system and then, oh, by the way, if you want to play portable, you got to have this too. Like, I don't think that'll be very successful. I don't think it's worked very well for them for now. Um, I think what they have now was a test, if you will, to see how they could do things. Now, what they could do is if you own a PlayStation 5 and have, per se, games, if it's digital, you might be able to, it's on your account, not on the system. You might be able to download it to this thing if it has the plugins to do what it needs to do program wise. Like, let's say I have a game of Grand Theft Auto 5, right? It has to be programmed with that flag, meaning it's designed to do that. And if so, I could download the game from my account and I could play it probably on that portable system. But um, you would have to have the game programmed for that. And that's what that extra flag that for developers they want to have, so they could advertise with their game, hey, it's compatible with PlayStation, whatever they're going to call it, portable. So we'll see. I don't know if they're going to do a memory card type thing, so they can get things on. I'm not entirely sure. To be honest with you, I highly doubt it. I don't think they want to go down the cartridge route. I think it's going to be disc or not. What they may allow you to do is you may be able to digitally transfer it from your PlayStation 5 or 6 over to this system. I'm just not entirely sure. There's been no real discussions, and we don't even know if confirmed they're doing this portable. But they all must be stupid not to, especially after how well the Switch sold and how well the Switch 2 has sold so far. Um, I, Sony would have a hard time not doing it. And portables are very, very popular in Japan. So, yep. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But you're at least looking at 2027 before that comes out. It's going to be a while, so don't worry about it. But I am hearing it's going to be way more powerful than the way the PlayStation 5 is now. It's not only going to have way better ray tracing, way better AI, way better just everything. That it's at least, I think, going to be 5 to 10 times more powerful. Because you got to remember what's in the PlayStation 5 right now, which is pretty impressive, is basically, if you know anything about the Radeon cards, basically a Radeon 100 6700 XT, which had first generation ray tracing, didn't really have any AI stuff in it at all, and it has a what 8 core Zen 3 processor in it. We're now up to we skipped 1, 2, 3 generations of processors. We're about to have another fourth one, and by the time that comes out, that might be it potentially. Um, on top of the fact, memory's gotten faster. The new Radeon cards have almost as good a ray tracing as the current NVIDIA stuff, so they're up 2 generations from that one. Plus, they're going to have AI pieces in it, which my understanding is they'll probably use that to make the game enemies more intelligent and more interesting, that you won't be able to do the same thing over and over and learn the patterns. which could be a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not entirely sure. But what it might do is it might make programming of teammates for games where you want to have like teammates in the play and you can't have a friend come over and play, make those games more interesting. So we'll see how what that's going to look like for games in the future. I'm not entirely sure. Oh yeah, plenty of time. Well, part of it is because I think it's tied to what AMD is doing. One, they're waiting for the new Zen 6 processors, which will be coming out probably a little bit before that time. They're coming out later. They're going to up it from 8 cores to 12 cores per chip. And so, on an AMD thing, you can get 2 chips. So they'll have a 24 core. That's going to up the core count of the um, PlayStation. And my understanding is 2 of those cores are going to be used for low power background tasks like chatting, whatever, video chat, um, background tasks. So they have that just to handle that, so they don't have to use all the part of the processor for the actual game, which is good. But then also, they're trying to perfect their graphics stuff, and they're trying to get that really good. Also, that's I think approximately a year or 2 years off. So I think the graphics part of it, the cutting edge, like when the PlayStation 5 came out, they're going to release that new PlayStation probably about the same time they're going to release their new graphics cards, potentially. So we'll see how that pans out. Hopefully, we don't run into another situation where they're not able to make enough because there's only so many wafers. I don't think that's 100% going to be the case, but we'll see. That's why it's important because they don't want shortages. So, yep. Well, again, tell your friends if you like what you saw. It's always good to have people come over. I have no problem stopping and talking to people, but I also, it's more fun when there's people I'm working with and playing with. I've done that with Stellar Blade, which has been fun, and various other games. I do have to play the DLC for Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. I haven't done that yet. And of course, there's DLC that I need to do for Final Fantasy 16. So I got some of that to do. Plus, there's been a request for like GTA 5 and Dying Light 2. I have some of that. Black Myth Wukong, but I haven't purchased that yet because it hasn't gone cheap enough for me yet. So, thanks for stopping by. Give me a like and a subscribe. But until next time, stay adventurous.